We were the apex predators of the galaxy. For 10,000 years, the Vraxian Dominion had conquered every species we encountered. Our neural toxins could paralyze a creature in seconds. Our exoskeletons could withstand energy weapons that would vaporize lesser beings. Our ships could tear through space-time like tissue paper. We were gods among insects, until we met the humans. They should have died on that hellscape they call Earth, Admiral Krez told the Galactic Council, mandibles clicking in agitation. Their world has 6 extinction-level events happening simultaneously: tectonic instability, meteorological violence, biological warfare between species, solar radiation, gravitational pressure, atmospheric toxins, and yet they thrive. I was there that day, a junior diplomat named Marcus Wright, the only human representative allowed in the hallowed chambers of the Vraxian capital. They thought I couldn't understand their clicking language. They were wrong. The Vraxian Dominion had spent centuries building their perfect society. Their crystalline cities floated on anti-gravity fields above perfectly manicured forests. Their climate-controlled environments eliminated all discomfort. Their neural networks linked their consciousness in a great harmony. Disease was eliminated. Violence was forgotten. Their biological weaponry had been locked away in museums. Why maintain weapons when there were no enemies left to fight? Then our deep space exploration vessel, the Prometheus, accidentally crossed into their territory. The Vraxians watched with fascination as our crew survived conditions that would kill most species. They observed as we ate foods containing capsaicin, a neurotoxin to They recorded how our bodies fought off bacterial infections without medical intervention. They noted our emotional volatility, our competitiveness, our stubborn refusal to surrender even when outmatched. Fascinating specimens, the science minister had declared. Let's add them to the collection. The collection, thousands of subjugated species kept in vast menageries across Vraxian space. Some served as laborers, others as entertainment, all enslaved. They sent one ship to capture Earth. It never returned. They sent a fleet, half returned, their crews driven insane by what they'd witnessed. The humans, the surviving commander reported, his voice trembling, they don't just fight, they enjoy it. I remember the day the full Vraxian armada arrived at Earth. Our planet had united against the common threat, setting aside centuries of conflict in days. The Vraxians expected surrender when they deployed their notorious neural toxins across North America. Instead, they discovered something horrifying. We were immune. Generations of spicy food consumption had rendered the toxin ineffective. Their biological weapons failed against our robust immune systems. Their psychological warfare crashed against human stubbornness. Their advanced technology struggled against human ingenuity and what they called our barbaric unpredictability. These creatures, Admiral Krez had sputtered, they adapted our weapons and turned them against us. They laughed while doing it. I was the only human present when the Council made their fatal decision. We must destroy what we cannot control, the Supreme Commander declared. Sterilize their world. They didn't know I was sending everything back to Earth. The Vraxian fleet began systematic bombardment of population centers. Sydney, Tokyo, Lagos, Moscow. Each strike was meant to break our will. Each attack only hardened our resolve. The counteroffensive came from an unexpected source. Dr. Sarah Blackwood, a microbiologist from Montana, discovered that common Earth bacteria were lethal to Vraxian biology. Captain Thomas Hartley, a former rodeo champion turned fighter pilot, realized their ships couldn't handle rapid directional changes. General Alan Peterson identified a critical flaw in their hive-mind communication system. I watched the Vraxian society begin to fracture as Earth fought back. For the first time in millennia, they experienced fear. Their perfect harmony dissolved into discord. The science minister advocated retreat. The war minister demanded escalation. The spiritual leader called for negotiation. Meanwhile, Captain Jackson Miller led Earth's first counterstrike, delivering specially engineered Earth bacteria to 3 Vraxian worlds. Entire cities collapsed in days. Their neural network, designed for harmony, amplified their terror exponentially. I stood in the council chamber as reports flooded in. The mighty predators had become prey. The hunters were now hunted. Their civilization, 10,000 years of advancement and beauty, was crumbling. The humans, Admiral Krez whispered, his once imperious voice now trembling. "They're not defending anymore. They're hunting us." The council turned to me, finally acknowledging my presence. "Tell your species to stop," the Supreme Commander begged. "We'll negotiate, we'll retreat, we'll provide reparations." Before I could respond, the chamber's neural network projected a new message. Earth's united forces had launched simultaneous strikes against 50 Vraxian worlds. The casualty reports were catastrophic. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. We were systematically dismantling their civilization. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives fled. Others collapsed. A few turned on each other, their peaceful veneer shattered by primordial fear. Standing there, I faced an impossible choice. I could relay Earth's terms, unconditional surrender and dismantling of the Dominion, or I could try to advocate for mercy that my own species wasn't currently feeling inclined to offer. As the last human diplomat in Vraxian space, I alone would determine whether an ancient civilization would survive or perish at the hands of the Deathworlders they had so fatally underestimated. The council waited for my decision, and with it the fate of their species. "We miscalculated," General Peterson's voice crackled through the emergency broadcast. "The Vraxians had a contingency we never anticipated." 3 weeks had passed since I'd made my fateful decision in the council chamber. I'd chosen mercy, convincing Earth's unified command to accept the Vraxian surrender. But what we thought was capitulation had been preparation. While their leadership negotiated, their scientists activated ancient bioweapons sealed for millennia. Now Earth burned. The Lazarus pathogen, as we called it, had been engineered specifically for human biology. It attacked our immune system, the very thing that had made us formidable, turning our body's defenses against us. Billions died in the first week. Our counterattack faltered as military installations fell silent, their personnel writhing in agony as their own cells rebelled. "Your mercy doomed us all, right?" Dr. Blackwood had told me before she succumbed, her skin mottled with necrotic lesions. Her eyes, once brilliant with scientific curiosity, had dulled with pain and betrayal. "You trusted predators to accept being prey." Those words haunted me as I trudged through the ruins of what had once been Denver. The city lay silent except for the occasional moan of the infected. The sky glowed an unnatural purple, the atmospheric dispersal agents still lingering. Our estimated survival rate, less than 12% of humanity. "Right? Do you copy?" Captain Miller's voice broke through my communicator. One of the few military leaders still alive, he'd established a resistance outpost in the Rocky Mountains. "I copy," I responded, my voice hoarse from the toxic air. "We're detecting Vraxian dropships. They're coming to finish the job." I quickened my pace, stumbling over debris as I made my way toward the rendezvous point. My group had dwindled from 27 survivors to just 8. The Thompsons had succumbed yesterday, husband, wife, and their young daughter dying within hours of each other. I'd promised to protect them. Another failure to add to my conscience. At the foothills, Captain Miller met us with grim-faced determination. Once a towering figure of military confidence, he now stooped slightly, his left arm missing below the elbow, sacrificed when Vraxian neurotoxins had begun spreading through his body. He'd cauterized it himself with a blowtorch. "The shelter's this way," he said, leading us into a narrow mountain pass. "What's left of humanity is making its stand here." The shelter was an abandoned military bunker, now housing just over 200 survivors. Among them was General Peterson, his once commanding presence diminished by illness and despair. "Our satellite networks are gone," he informed us. "Communications with other resistance cells have gone dark. For all we know, we're the last humans alive." The silence that followed crushed what remained of our hope. That night, I found Sarah Hartley, Captain Thomas Hartley's widow, staring at a vial of cloudy liquid. "It's quick," she said, without looking up. Thomas stockpiled them before he flew his final mission. Called it the last resort. Her hands trembled. I keep asking myself why I should continue fighting. I had no answer for her. Thomas had died flying his fighter directly into a Vraxian mothership, buying time for evacuation transports. His sacrifice had saved thousands, most of whom later died from the pathogen anyway. Morning brought no relief. Vraxian forces had landed in the valleys below, their bioscanners searching for human heat signatures. Our technology, once our advantage, now barely functioned. The pathogen had been designed to affect not just humans but our AI systems, introducing cascade failures in code that mirrored the autoimmune response in our bodies.
"We need to move deeper into the mountains," Miller ordered.
For what purpose? Dr. Wilson, our remaining scientist, demanded. To die more slowly. The pathogen is adapting faster than we can develop countermeasures. Another week, and even the naturally immune will start showing symptoms. The argument escalated until General Peterson slammed his fist on the makeshift command table. Enough! We are the last of humanity. We will not spend our final days tearing each other apart. But the darkness had already taken root. That night, 3 survivors disappeared, taking critical supplies. 2 others committed suicide. Our numbers dwindled to less than 108. Our forced exodus through the mountains tested what remained of our endurance. The terrain, already treacherous, became lethal with Vraxian hunter drones patrolling overhead. We lost 17 more people to exposure, ambushes, and despair. I found myself partnered with James Foster, a former structural engineer who'd lost his entire family in New York. He barely spoke, his eyes hollow with grief. "Why do you keep going?" he asked me during our watch. "After everything you've lost? After everything that's happened because of your choice?" The question cut deeper than any Vraxian weapon. "Because surrendering means they win," I answered, though the words sounded hollow even to me. "They've already won," he replied. "Humanity is extinct. We're just the walking afterthought." 2 days later, Foster walked straight into a Vraxian patrol. Whether by accident or design, I'll never know. On the 10th day of our mountain exodus, we discovered something impossible. A Vraxian scout ship, damaged but intact, had crash-landed in a high valley. Inside we found navigation data and the truth that shattered our understanding of everything. "This can't be right," Dr. Wilson whispered, analyzing the ship's logs. "According to this, the Vraxians aren't the architects of our destruction. They're running from something too." The ship's records revealed a devastating truth. The Vraxians had deployed the Lazarus pathogen not out of malice but desperation. A greater predator had entered the galaxy, one that had already consumed a third of Vraxian space. Earth was being sacrificed as a distraction, a firebreak to slow the advance of something the Vraxians called the Devourers. "They're using us as bait," Captain Miller realized. "They're sacrificing Earth to buy time." The revelation should have united us. Instead, it fractured our remaining resolve. Half our survivors, led by General Peterson, insisted we focus on survival at any cost. The others, including Miller, argued we needed to find a way to contact these Devourers, perhaps to negotiate, perhaps to join forces against the Vraxians. The argument ended when Vraxian forces surrounded our position. They'd been tracking us all along. "Surrender the navigation data," their commander demanded through a translation field, "and your deaths will be painless." With our weapons depleted, our numbers reduced to fewer than 50 exhausted survivors, and the pathogen continuing its relentless advance through our bodies, we faced the darkest moment of human history. Captain Miller looked at me, his eyes feverish with the late-stage pathogen. "Your call, diplomat. You got us into this. What's it going to be?" All eyes turned to me, some accusing, some pleading, all desperate. The weight of humanity's final moment rested on my shoulders once again, and I had nothing left to give. "Your call, diplomat. You got us into this. What's it going to be?" The words hung in the frigid mountain air as Vraxian forces enclosed our position. The remnants of humanity, 47 souls ravaged by disease, starvation, and despair, looked to me for salvation. I couldn't provide. I stepped forward, my body burning with late-stage symptoms of the Lazarus pathogen. "We surrender," I told the Vraxian commander, "but I need to speak with your supreme council." The commander's mandibles clicked with what might have been laughter. "There is no council anymore!" The Devourers saw to that, as they herded us into their transport ships. I noticed something odd. The Vraxians moved with jerky, uncoordinated motions. Their normally immaculate exoskeletons were dull, cracked in places. Their neural relays flickered erratically. Dr. Wilson noticed too. "They're sick," she whispered. "Something's affecting their biology." The revelation hit me like a thunderbolt. "It's us," I murmured. The pathogen wasn't just designed for humans, it was designed to use humans as carriers. Aboard their mothership, we discovered the terrible truth. The remaining Verxian leadership, just 3 high commanders, were in worse condition than their troops. Their once sleek command center was now dim, equipment failing, life support systems fluctuating. "You think we attacked you out of cruelty?" rasped Admiral Krez, his once imposing frame now hunched and brittle. "We did it to save ourselves. The Devourers consume all life, reduce it to building material for their swarms. We hoped your biology might be the weapon we needed." "By killing us?" Captain Miller demanded. "No," croaked Krez. "By evolving you." The Admiral activated a neural projection. The images seared into my mind, vast cosmic entities composed of living matter yet somehow mechanical, consuming entire star systems, transforming all they touched into extensions of themselves. "The Lazarus pathogen wasn't designed to kill humans," explained the science minister, his voice failing. "It was designed to accelerate your already remarkable adaptive capabilities, to push your evolution forward by centuries in weeks." "You weaponized our suffering," I said, understanding dawning with horrifying clarity. "Yes," admitted Krez without apology. "Those who survive the pathogen will have immune systems unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. Biology capable of fighting the Devourers on a cellular level." "How many did you calculate would survive?" General Peterson demanded. 1 in 10,000, came the dispassionate reply. The rage that swept through our survivors was primal, visceral. Miller lunged at Krez, only to be restrained by guards. "You're saying our deaths were acceptable casualties in your war?" Dr. Wilson's voice shook with fury. "The alternative was extinction for all sentient life," replied the science minister. "The Devourers have consumed sub-named civilizations already. Nothing stops them." Before we could process this revelation, alarms blared throughout the ship. On the neural projection, a massive shape emerged from hyperspace, a writhing mass of biological machinery that defied comprehension. "They're here," Krez whispered. The Devourer ship engulfed smaller Vaxian vessels like a predator consuming prey. Each absorbed ship became part of the growing mass, its crew incorporated into the collective. "We need to evacuate," ordered the War Minister. "This vessel cannot withstand." His words cut off as tendrils of living metal punctured the hull, snaking through the command center. Where they touched Vaxians, the aliens screamed as their bodies transformed, becoming part of the invading organism. "Run!" Miller shouted, grabbing my arm. We fled through disintegrating corridors, pursued by what had once been Vaxian crew members, now horrifically transformed into extensions of the Devourer collective. Only 26 humans made it to the escape pod. As our pod jettisoned from the mothership, I watched through the viewport as the Vaxian vessel was consumed, becoming part of the grotesque mass that was the Devourer ship. "Where can we go?" Sarah Hartley asked, her voice hollow. "Earth is dying. The Vaxians are finished. What's left?" I had no answer as our tiny pod drifted in the vastness of space, awaiting the inevitable moment when the Devourers would notice us. That's when General Peterson collapsed. His skin glowed with an unnatural light, veins illuminated from within. Dr. Wilson rushed to his side, scanner in hand. "This is impossible," she whispered, checking the readings. "His cells are changing. The pathogen has reached its final stage." Peterson's eyes snapped open, but they weren't his anymore. They shimmered with an intelligence both ancient and newborn. "I understand now," he said, his voice resonating strangely. "The Vraxians were right about one thing. We are weapons." His hand shot out, gripping my wrist. Energy flowed between us, not painful, but transformative. I felt it sweep through my system, reconfiguring my cells, enhancing neural pathways, awakening dormant genetic potential. "What are you doing?" I gasped. "Saving what's left," Peterson answered. "The pathogen wasn't meant to kill us. It was meant to elevate us, to make us into something that could fight the Devourers on their own terms." One by one, he touched the survivors. Those already near death from the pathogen stabilized, then strengthened. Those barely affected underwent rapid transformation. "I can feel them," Sarah whispered, her eyes taking on the same luminescence. "The others? The survivors on Earth? There are more than we thought. Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands." "Not enough," Miller said grimly. "But enough to seed a new beginning," Peterson countered. "Enough to evolve." The Devourer ship loomed in our viewport, tendrils extending toward our pod. Death seemed certain. Then Peterson stood, placing both hands against the hull. His body shimmered, molecular structure shifting. "What are you doing?" I demanded. "What humans have always done," he answered calmly. "Adapting to survive." His body dissolved, spreading across the pod's hull like living metal. Where devourer tendrils touched, they recoiled as if burned. Peterson's consciousness spread through our systems, fortifying them, transforming them. He's sacrificing himself, Dr. Wilson realized. He's becoming a shield. But it was more than that. Peterson wasn't just defending us. He was transforming our small craft into something new, something that was neither human nor machine, but a perfect synthesis. "I understand now," Sarah said, her eyes wide with revelation. "The Vraxians, the Devourers, us, we're all part of the same cycle. Predator becomes prey, becomes predator. But we can break that cycle." Our pod accelerated away from the Devourer ship, propelled by technology that shouldn't have existed. As we sped toward Earth, I felt a new connection forming between the survivors, a neural link similar to the Vraxians, but fundamentally different, not a hive mind that suppressed individuality, but a network that enhanced it. "We're not just surviving the pathogen," Dr. Wilson explained, analyzing readings from her scanner. "We're incorporating it, and not just the pathogen. We're adapting elements of Vraxian biology, even aspects of the Devourers themselves. When we reached Earth, we found others like us. The pathogen had killed billions. Yes, but those who survived were changing, evolving, becoming something new." "So what happens now?" Miller asked, as we stood on a ridge overlooking what had once been Seattle, now being rebuilt by humans with abilities no one could have imagined months earlier. "Now," I said, feeling the connection to thousands of evolved humans across the planet, "we prepare." "For what? Revenge?" I shook my head. "The Vraxians didn't engineer the pathogen, they discovered it. Ancient records in their database suggest it's appeared before, at extinction boundaries throughout galactic history." "You're saying this was planned?" Sarah asked. "Not by any intelligence we'd recognize," I replied. "The pathogen appears when apex predators become too dominant. It culls populations, but transforms survivors. It's the galaxy's immune system, responding to the disease of species that consume without evolving. And we're what? The antibodies?" I looked to the stars where the Devourer ships were regrouping, preparing for another assault. "No," I said quietly, "we're the next stage. Neither predator nor prey. Something new. Above us, Peterson's consciousness, now integrated with thousands of others who had sacrificed their physical forms, coalesced into ships unlike anything humanity had designed before. Not weapons of war, but vessels of transformation. The cycle of predator and prey was ending. What would replace it? Even we couldn't predict. But for the first time since the Vraxians arrived, I felt something beyond hope. I felt purpose.